What up? What up? Welcome to From Beyond the Pain podcast. I'm back. Holy crap. It was a whole week without doing this show, which honestly, good. I didn't do this in like January, February, March when these games really do matter. But I had to go on vacation. All right. With CHGO, I hadn't taken any vacation. I had 160 hours. 160 hours of vacation time. So I had to take some time off, went out to California, saw some family, watched most of the Illinois Marquette game, but missed most of the Illinois Valparaiso and Illinois Southern game this weekend as I was in Lake Tahoe in Northern California / Nevada. So I won't sit here and act like I know everything that happened. However, based off highlights, based off the stats, and based off what I'm reading on Illinois Twitter, I can kind of understand where we're at here in this moment. So there's a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about where I feel this team is at headed into Thanksgiving break. That's the title of the show, right? How are they still a top 3 team in the Big Ten? I don't know, because I don't know how I feel about the Big Ten in general. The Big Ten in general has been disappointing to start the college basketball season. So there's that. What else is there? Just how I feel about some certain guys. Moretti, Niccolo, I think that's how you say his name. Niccolo Moretti played pretty well these last 2 games. And I'm curious if Brad Underwood is going to give this guy a shot. Do not make the same mistake as you did with the guy who went to Santa Clara and now plays for the Golden State Warriors. Shout out to his dad. He was super nice to me one time on Twitter. And yeah, a little bit more. We'll try and do this in, 30 minutes. Maybe it'll take a little longer. I don't know. All I know is that I'm a little sad that there isn't a game until Friday. So, I'm home now and I wish that I could, talk about a game that's coming up, but I don't think they play until Friday against another non-conference opponent. So let's get into Illinois Marquette, the first game that I missed. All right. Illinois lost 71-64. And that's the one game that I was able to catch. I was sitting at my aunt and uncle's house in California and had the game on. And the last 5 minutes of the game, I felt like they played really hard. I felt like Illinois played really hard, but they just couldn't hit the big shots. And it just felt like Illinois could not stop Tyler Kolek. And B, it just felt like Marquette made all the big shots when they absolutely needed to. So, they're the number, at the time, they're the number 5 team in the country. I think they're number 4 this week. They play Kansas tonight. So that'll be a huge test for them. So yeah, I don't know. It was a moral victory game. Like they lost by double digits, or they lost by less than double digits to a top 5 team in the country. I was hopeful for revenge because I still haven't forgot about that game at the FISM Forum in Milwaukee 2 years ago when Illinois was far and away the better roster, better team at that game. Andre Curbelo was still on that team. There was high expectations for him coming into that season. Really fell short. A lot of stuff. That's why he ended up transferring. It was the year after they lost to Loyola, and I thought there was still a lot of high expectations for that team to be, at least a Sweet 16 team. And Illinois, they turned the ball over a ton in that game, and they ended up losing on the road to a Big East school that actually turned out to be pretty good that year. But it was a surprise. Shaka Smart has done well since he got to Marquette. So I give them a lot of credit for how I give him a lot of credit for how he has gotten Marquette to where they are. But I just felt like Illinois they had every chance to win that game, and they just didn't. And you know what? Considering how they had played to that point in the season, for them to lose by less than 10 points, I'll take it. I guess I'll take it and I'll put it in the moral victory column, right? When you look at the stats, you can kind of see why they lost the game. All right. They went Um, 11 of 33 from 3-point range. And you jacked up 33 3-pointers, only made 11 of them. Meanwhile, Marquette went 5 of 17. So you shoot 11 of them, miss 33, and somehow you still lose. Make it make sense. Marquette, 12 of 20 from the free throw line. Illinois, 11 for 13 from the free throw line. They actually were good at the free throw line. So when you look at things, you're like, how did we lose this game? Yes, 15 turnovers. 15 turnovers. And that's just kind of been the thing. It's kind of been the thing the last handful of years with these Brad Underwood teams. And like, as I always have said, Brad Underwood is a guy that I'm glad is running this program. I'm happy he's brought this program back to relevance. More Big Ten victories than anyone else the last 4 years, more than Tom Izzo, more than Matt Painter. All right. But like, why are all Brad Underwood teams? They have the same problems. Can't make free throws, and we turn the ball over way too much. All right. So even though you shot well at the free throw line, and even though I don't like the fact that you're jacking up 33 threes, and you made 11 of them, but I just don't. It feels like it kind of evens out with your good free throw shooting, but jacking up 33 threes, making 11 of them. That's what is that percentage wise? It's still 33%. Still 33%. You shot better from three and the free throw line than Marquette, but you gave up. You had 15 turnovers. They only had 8. All right. And you really just didn't get enough production out of your starting 5. Terrence Shannon Jr., 21 points. Marcus Damask, 18. Probably his best game as an Illini at that point. You won the rebounding game. You had 40 rebounds to their 38. Like you did a lot of things really well, except you turned the ball over way too much. Lou Goody, 13 points off the bench, 4 for 7 from 3 in that game. Yeah. I don't want to talk about Illinois Marquette very much because it has been a week. But when I look at it, the turnovers are the big reason they lost this game. If they play like they did against Marquette and not turn the ball over the rest of the season, not win the turnover battle at least, I feel like they can compete with anyone in the country, despite the fact that I don't like their point guard situation. Ty Rodgers in 29 minutes, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Did have 2 steals and a block. Only turned the ball over twice. Okay. Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon Jr. both 5 turnovers and both apiece. So they had 10 of the 15 turnovers in this game. So it's tough. It's tough to take a loss like that whenever it's tough to take a loss like that when it felt like you did everything right, except you didn't win the turnover battle. So now you get to these next 2 games, and the game against Valparaiso, I'm happy that I missed, because when I looked at the box score, I was like, holy shit, they were trailing at halftime against Valpo, against a Missouri Valley team. And no offense to the Missouri Valley, I actually love gambling on the Missouri Valley Conference. All right. I'm gambling on whoever Indiana State is playing. I'm betting the over on that game. But they win 87-64 against Valpo, but they trailed 45-38 at halftime in this game against my good friend Luke Stuckmeyer's alma mater. All right. And you look at the stats, 9 of 28 from 3. You shot less from 3. Basically, you made 2 less threes, whatever. But again, another issue, 12 of 24 from the free throw line. All right. And Dane Danger missed 6 of them. It's just, he had 16 points, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks. He is a good presence, but man, does his free throw shooting just make me want to pull my hair out. He's got to find a way to be better than that. That's just the fact of the matter. If this team is going to not only get to the tournament, but actually make some noise in the tournament, they got to find a way to make free throws, man. Got to. Luke Goody, 1 for 3 from the free throw line. The dude went 4 of 9 from 3. That's farther back than the free throw line. He's got to be a guy who makes free throws. All right. It's just the facts. Marcus Damask, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. All right. You missed 1. Whatever. Terrence Shannon Jr., 5 of 6. Whatever. I can't get over going 12 of 24 from a free throw line. All right. And turnovers, they were better. They forced 7 Valpo turnovers and turned the ball over 9 times. So it was 2 more than Valpo, but at least it's not a major difference. The big reason why they won this game is because Valpo went 5-19 from 3. If Valpo kept making some threes, sure. And also just the fact that Illinois is just a bigger, faster team than Valpo. All right. This is a mid-major school. I don't necessarily know the expectations for this Valpo team going into this year. They did allow Isaiah Stafford for Valpo to score 30 points on 11 of 23 shooting. So he had a big game against a Power 5 school. Credit to him. But, the being down 38-45 at halftime after at least an effort like they had against Marquette, it's just it makes you sit here and scratch your head. Like, what is the ceiling for this team? And I just keep trying to figure out what that is. I don't know the ceiling. At this point, I feel like the ceiling is first or second round exit. Like, I don't feel confident in a Sweet 16 run. Hell, if some teams in the Big Ten surprise us, sure, maybe they might not even get in. I don't feel like that's like the worst feeling I have, but like I'm curious to how many teams from the Big Ten are going to get in this year, because I just feel like the Big Ten just hasn't been very good to start the year, and that could affect tournament bids. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. That's what we would call a tease. So anyway, Illinois sneaks out an 87-64 win with a huge second half after a terrible first half against Valpo. And then I felt like they played a more complete game against Southern on Sunday, winning 88-60. They led 45-27 at halftime, scored 40 plus points in both halves. Southern scored 27 in the first half, 33 in the second. Now, it was a little bit more balanced scoring. Terrence Shannon Jr., 24 points, Danger, 12 points. Guerrier had 10. And then you had good contributions off the bench as well. Niccolo Moretti, who I mentioned earlier, 4 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds in his short stint in 13 minutes, actually. Goody, 9 points on 3-7 from 3. He had 7 rebounds as well. Justin Harmon, 9 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. I felt like, based off the stats, it looks like he had one of his better games. And it's against Southern, the Southern Jaguars. All right. So it is what it is. You went out, took care of business against a school that you should take care of business against. Now, what leaves me curious about going forward with this team, I saw this on Illinois Illini Twitter. God, I can't talk. Moretti looked like he could play some ball in terms of point guard. All right. And I just don't feel like Ty Rodgers is that dude, man. And it has nothing to do with him playing or him as a player. I just don't think he's a point guard. I just don't see it. So I'm not saying you completely remove Ty Rodgers from the point guard, but I am saying that they need to play Moretti more. I think they need to play Moretti more and at least give him the opportunity. Do not do what you did to Brandon Podsminski. Do not do this, Brad. I am asking you to play Moretti more. All right. You got a whole, I know it's Thanksgiving week or whatever. So I don't know how many practices you guys are having, but that I would like to see Moretti more just because. All right. You got all these guards coming off the bench that you are consistently playing, like Justin Harmon, plus like Gibbs Lawhorn, Luke Goody, Hansberry, who had 8 points and 7 rebounds, 3 assists. He's more of a forward, but all these guards I just mentioned on top of Terrence Shannon Jr. And they're starting 4 forwards technically. If you talk about Ty Rodgers, Damask, Danger, and Guerrier, right? Like I'm asking for Moretti to just get a chance to perhaps be the point guard on this team. Even if it is off the bench for 13 minutes a game, I would like to see more. I guess I'm interested. I would like to see a little bit more. I'm interested of your thoughts. If you're in the live YouTube chat or if you're listening to the audio right now, let me know what you think, because I think, I'm just a dumb meatball fan here, but I think Moretti could be better or make the team a little bit better. It's a different look. That's all I'm saying. And because we haven't seen a lot of different looks from other players who aren't getting opportunities, I guess that's why I feel like the ceiling of this team is make the tournament, maybe win a game or two. Nothing else. I would like to see if there's anyone else who can emerge to make this team better. I'm sorry, like Ty Rodgers, 4 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds. All right, he got steal and a block. He's like, Ty Rodgers, a great glue guy. I just do not see him as a point guard, guys. I just don't see it. I hope he changes my mind. I genuinely hope he changes my mind. But anyway, so those are the 3 games. Kind of going through. I mean, to go through this game against Southern, again, they dominated 11 of 17 from the free throw line. I guess that's not nearly as bad. 64% from the field. You shot 5 for 22 from 3. That was your worst shooting percentage of the week. 22%. You're able to still win 88-60 shooting like that from 3. You had 21 turnovers. I mean, you played a bad game, honestly. This was bad in all aspects, and that's just how bad Southern is. And Illinois was able to, get contributions out of everyone. The thing is that Southern just couldn't stop Illinois because Illinois is bigger, faster, stronger than anyone on their team, and that's why Illinois is a huge favorite against Southern on Sunday. So it's hard to take anything away from that game when you turn the ball over 21 times. You go 11 of 17 from the free throw line, 5 for 22 from 3. How do I feel about this team at Thanksgiving break? Not great. Okay. When I say not great, it's more of like meh. I'm just like I want to have higher expectations, I guess. I want to feel more excited about the team. I guess that's what I'm content with just being a middle of the pack Big Ten team that is going to make the tournament and, maybe shock us one of these years. But I also, as much as last year and the year before pissed me off and make me want to, slam my fist through a wall, I'd rather have that than just be very meh, like mid. Like this team is mid. I saw someone tweet today, this team and this team, they lost to this mid-major and this mid-major and blah, 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 but they stay in the top 25, but Illinois falls out because they lost to Marquette and then beat 2 mid teams. Well, you look at these 2 mid teams, they didn't play well against Southern despite winning by 28. And I don't know, even against Valpo, down by what, 7 points at halftime against Valpo? This team doesn't deserve to be in the top 25. I'm sorry. They haven't shown me anything to show me that they deserve to be a top 25 team. They just haven't. It's a fact of the matter. And I guess on this hand, that's okay. And on the other, we should expect more. I guess as Illini fans, I guess I'm expecting a lot of last year with this year's team. And that team went to the NCAA tournament. And I remember a time where we all wanted to go to the NCAA tournament, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I hope they change my mind. I hope that they lead, get rolling, give us a clean game. If you're going to shoot 20 plus threes a game, can you shoot over 30%? Can you make your free throws? I mean, I'm begging you to make some free throws, man. I'm begging you. And then turn the ball over. Again, 21 turnovers against Southern. 21 turnovers? You win by 28 and you still manage to turn the ball over 21 times? I mean, just not great, man. Like if you're going to turn the ball over against a Big Ten school, you're going to lose. You turn the ball over 21 times against Minnesota, you'll lose. That's just what will happen. So, I will say this, Brad Underwood teams, and this is why they have more wins than anyone else in the Big Ten the last 4 years. Brad Underwood teams find a way to get it going in late December, early January, and that's how they eventually find themselves in the tournament. So it's early. Yes, it's early, and this team is still trying to find a way to gel. You know who I will say needs to be better? I will say this. Coleman Hawkins needs to be better, man. All right. Coleman Hawkins against Marquette. 2-9 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 turnovers. He had 3 blocks too, but 5 turnovers. All right. Against Valparaiso. All right. He didn't play because of an injury, I'm pretty sure. And he didn't play on Sunday. So this past week, I can't sit here and confidently say that I'm confident in Coleman Hawkins. He has not been that impressive to me to start the year. And he needs to be a leader, man. If this team is going to excel anyone's expectations, Coleman Hawkins has to be better. Terrence Shannon Jr. has showed up. Terrence Shannon Jr. has been as advertised. He's actually been a little bit more than as advertised compared to last year, in my opinion. To start this year, he's been very good and consistent. And sometimes last season, I felt like the consistency wasn't there for him. So far this year, he's been consistent. So that's one positive for me right now with Illinois. But Coleman Hawkins, this team can be significantly better if he looks more like last year, at the very least. He has, he has Kevin Durant-like physique. He's tall and can shoot threes. He's athletic, blocks shots. I'm not saying he's Kevin Durant. I'm just saying that he has the body type of a Kevin Durant type player, a versatile, number 3, number 4 player on the court. And I just need, if you're going to be the senior on this team, the quote unquote leader of this team, you got to play better than this. And again, I'll say this, it's early. So I am hopeful for better down the road, but I'm just keeping it real right now. He just has not been very good. Hopefully he gets healthy and he's able to play the one game they have this week. All right. Now, before I move on to the next segment, we're 23 minutes. And I just want to remind everyone, if you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you're following me on social media, on Twitter at Cody_CHGO, Instagram, Cody_CHGO, and TikTok, Cody_CHGO. I'm mainly posting Cubs content there, but at least on those two, I'm doing most of my Illini content on Twitter. So I just want to point that out. Yeah. Also, I am also letting everyone know now, in like 2 weeks, I'm going to Illinois, Tennessee. All right. So I won't be able to do anything here at home for that game, but it's going to be a wild week. I'm going to be at the winter meetings, the baseball winter meetings for CHGO that week. And then that weekend, instead of coming home with like Ryan and Luke, I have a buddy from Knoxville who is picking me up and taking me to Knoxville for Illinois and Tennessee that weekend. So it's going to be a wild week. I can't wait. And so it's going to be a battle of which orange is better. I think we all know which one is better. So if you're listening and you happen to live in Tennessee and are weirdly a Illinois fan, hit me up. I'll be there. If anyone, it'll be me and one other Illinois fan, and then there's 2 Tennessee fans. So should be a lot of fun banter going back and forth with that. So okay, let's move on. I wanted to talk about the Big Ten in general. All right. So let's talk about the Big Ten in general. Right now, when I look at the Big Ten, I'm thinking Purdue and Northwestern. And it pains me to say Northwestern, but Northwestern's they're going to be another good team in this conference this year. When I look at Purdue, they just won last night against Gonzaga. And again, I know Purdue, they lost to Fairleigh Dickinson in the tournament last year, and it's a fun joke. And I can give my guy Greg Braggs a lot of slander, but they have been impressive to start this season. Yeah, where is it? They beat Gonzaga last night. I believe they play Tennessee tonight, actually. Yes, they do. 4-0 Tennessee, number 7 Tennessee. Zach Edey's there. They basically have the same team as last year. There's a reason they're the number 2 team in the country. They have looked the part of what I would assume Purdue was going to look like. And as much as I like to troll Matt Painter whenever he loses, he is arguably the best coach in the conference. Very first episode of this show, I think I ranked Izzo ahead of him just based off longest tenure and the fact that he's actually won a national championship. But Matt Painter has been consistent in terms of just putting out winning teams year in and year out. They go to the tournament, they go deep in the tournament, whatever. So again, it's early, but right now Purdue looks like the team to me that looks like a team that has revenge on their minds, that kind of thing. Also, let's point out Nebraska starting out 5-0. All right. Like I was a little surprised. However, they have only played Oregon State, but still Nebraska these last handful of years would lose to teams like Oregon State. But other than that, they faced Stony Brook Rider, Florida A&M, and Lindenwood. So they haven't played anyone. But I just wanted to point out them starting out 5-0. It was surprising, and this is for Nebraska standards. But again, Northwestern is a team that I fear. All right, they did just lose to Mississippi State on Sunday, but to me, long term, they're a team that could be dangerous just because they brought back a lot of the same guys from last year. They're an experienced team. They finished second in the Big Ten last year, right? And they added that guy from, was it Langborg? I can't say his last name. He's from Princeton, I believe. So, yeah, they play Purdue on December 1st. That's going to be an interesting matchup. It's unfortunate that I can't bet on this game. Damn you, state of Illinois. But, yeah, they're a team that as much as it somewhat pains me. If they have to have 1 or 2 straight good years for a while, then fine. But when you talk about the disappointments so far, Michigan State, they started the season 3-2. They lost their very first game of the year to James Madison. They've played a tougher schedule, right? And James Madison is now ranked. Their win against Michigan State got them into the top 25. They've played well, right? So maybe long term that loss doesn't look bad on Michigan State's resume. But then they played Duke. It was on a neutral site. Again, Michigan State started the year top 5 team in the country, right? They play a Duke team that I believe was in the top 10, top 5 as well. Excuse me. On November 14th, they lose by 9 points. I don't know. But they've blown out every other team they faced. So out of the tough teams they played, they haven't won. Now Thursday they get Arizona, and Arizona has been very impressive. They went to Duke and won recently. Arizona looks for real, like they have been the last handful of years. So I'm interested to see what Michigan State does there, because I am expecting more. I am expecting more. And as everyone says, January, February, Izzo, April, May, blah blah blah. I don't care. So point is I know Michigan State will be better as the season goes along. But right now, they haven't been very impressive to me. Maryland has kind of been disappointing to me so far. They're 1-3, and they're coming off a season where they were shockingly kind of good. Yeah, I mean, they lost to Davidson. They lost to UAB. And they scored 40 points against Villanova the other night. Villanova is a better program, obviously, but I expected more from Maryland. I'm sorry. And this goes back to my point about how is this going to be another year where the Big Ten gets 9 teams in the tournament? So far, the Big Ten just has not played well out of conference. You cannot lose to Davison and UAB, Maryland. I'm sorry. Or if you're going to lose one, you can't lose both. So they've been very disappointing to me based off what I expected from them this year. Rutgers, they lost to Princeton first night of the season. Princeton beat Mizzou in the NCAA tournament. They lost the guy that I just said that went to Northwestern. I know that they're one of the best Ivy League school programs, whatever. But you lost at the rack to Princeton. I don't get it. So, they haven't lost since they beat Georgetown with Ed Cooley and some of those transfers, including Jaden Epps. So that was a good win for them. But it's their first game of the year, so whatever. But at the same time, not impressed. I've said everything I've said about Illinois not being that impressive too, but is what it is. Like, there's just not a lot of teams in this conference that have impressed me. Penn State 4-0, but they've played no one. So I can't say anything. What about Michigan? Michigan, they had a huge win over St. John's, right? St. John's. Huge win over St. John's. And then what happens? They lose to Long Beach State. Long Beach State? Oh, my goodness. 94-86. Juwan Howard, he's the worst coach in the Big Ten. Sorry. And that's exaggeration. He's not the worst, but there's a reason that Hunter Dickinson transferred, I'm assuming. Indiana, Xavier Johnson recently got hurt, so it's hard for me to, judge them off that loss against UConn, but it was an opportunity for them to, make some sort of statement. Instead, they lost by 20 points at home. But they did respond, beating Louisville by 8 points, and Louisville's not any good. But, I've gone through all these teams, and at this point, they're just outside of Purdue, there just hasn't been a team that has stood out, that has shown that they're going to take control of this conference and win a Big Ten title. Maybe Iowa. I was putting up a ton of points, but they don't play a lick of defense. And that's just how it's always been. Wisconsin, 3-2 to start the year. That includes a win over number 24 Virginia. All right. They lost by 10 to Tennessee. They lost by 13 to Providence. Right? Like, I don't know. Like, it was a good win for them over Virginia. I mean, they allowed 41 points to number 24 Virginia. Wisconsin's not even ranked. And Tennessee is a top 10 team ranked, so losing by 10 to them isn't necessarily a bad loss or anything like that. But it's hard for me to ever believe in Wisconsin. Will they ever get the offense? They always defend, but will they ever score? And I feel like you can say that about a lot of the teams in the Big Ten. So when I say all these things and then I talk about my frustrations with Illinois, I guess it brings it back around to say that things could absolutely be worse if you're an Illini fan. And I think sometimes you got to put that in perspective. A lot of people like to tell me that the Big Ten is overrated. And in some aspects, I agree. I don't think 8 or 9 teams deserve to get into the NCAA tournament every year from this conference. I don't see why. It's unfortunate that I think the SEC or the Big 12 and even the Pac-12 have better teams. And I know next year these conferences are all going to look so much different with the Pac-12 basically disbanding. But at this point, I feel like maybe 6 teams deserve to get in. Maybe. It's early. When we're at Thanksgiving break, basically. It's early. But, I think I've rambled on enough here. We'll see. As down as I am on Illinois right now, all it takes is a couple good wins to bring me back up into believing. And that's fandom, right? I hope that something like that happens, but we'll see. Illinois, huge game at Rutgers Saturday, December 2nd. That's probably the next big game. They got Western Illinois on Friday at the State Farm Center. Then they go to Rutgers, and then Florida Atlantic comes to Illinois to play them at the State Farm Center on December 5th, which will be a big game. And then obviously I'll be at the Illinois-Tennessee game in Knoxville, like I said earlier. So, obviously they got to beat Western Illinois, take care of business, take care of a team that's not good. But then you got 3 big games, one against a conference opponent, one against a ranked mid-major, and then at Tennessee, which will be tough because you'll be on the road against a really good defensive team with experience. So obviously 1 game at a time. That's my thought right now. Beat Western Illinois. And then I think, they have a legitimate shot to beat Rutgers, but it is very hard to go to the rack and win, as we've seen over the years. It is hard to go there and win. So at this point, I am hopeful over that 3-game stretch that they can go 2-1. That is what I hope. The worst case scenario, they lose all 3, of course. I think more likely is that they go 1-2, because right now I'm down on the team and I don't know how they'll play against Florida Atlantic or Tennessee. But there's time. Those games are in December. Hopefully these guys get some rest, beat up on Western Illinois, and, start to turn it up a bit against some of these better teams. Now, remember last year, Illinois beat UCLA and Texas, all right? Basically with almost the same roster. Not necessarily the same roster, but a lot of the core players. So this team, we've seen how well it can play. The core players of this team, we've seen how well they can play against good teams, how well they get up for teams that good. So I'm optimistic that they can change my thought process on this team right now. So we'll see. But anyway, Friday against Western Illinois, I might do post game. I probably will. If not Friday, then I might do a podcast on Saturday while I'm watching college football. But anyway, I just wanted to check in and talk a little on it, because I didn't get to this last week with the fact of me being not here, me being on the other side of the country. And I wasn't going to take my podcast gear to California because I was on vacation and my bosses told me to go and not do anything. So I did. All right. And again, I just do this for fun on the side because I love Illinois basketball. So I appreciate all y'all who are tuning in. Hit the like button. I need to start saying that at the beginning of shows here on YouTube. Hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're doing a lot of Illinois content here and a lot of different stuff probably once baseball season comes back around. But hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the podcast From Beyond the Pain on Spotify. I believe that's all I have it on right now, is just on Spotify. Would really appreciate it. Let me know what you think of the show. Let me know your thoughts on just anything in general about Illinois right now. I don't know everything. So if you disagree, let me know. If you're respectful, I will probably respond back. And yeah, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Cody_CHGO. I appreciate all your guys' support and for everything you guys do to make this. If they're the people who listen to this, it's not anything except for me just talking into a microphone by myself in my Chicago apartment in my living room. If no one else is listening, that's literally all it is. So for everyone that is listening, I appreciate you. It's started out slow. I'm not getting a ton of viewers right now. I have liked the feedback though. A lot of people have responded back and told me that they're excited about this. So as the season moves along, I'm optimistic that we get more viewers whenever we get into Big Ten conference play and stuff like that. So again, thank you all for tuning in, checking it out. Hit the subscribe button on your way out. Hit the like button on your way out, and we'll see you this weekend.